Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? This is Kyle, aka Vulcan Wolverine. It's September 15th, 2018. I'll probably be taking it pretty slow on this video. I've been putting off making a video for a couple of days because I'm getting so slammed. The microwave pulses to my head, my spine, and the remote neural manipulation, and then the 24-hour day chatterbox V2K. It's just ripping my head apart, and it's ripping my brain apart. So much so that I don't want to be negative because we have a lot of positive things and this information is coming out, but I don't know. I don't know, guys. I believe in miracles. I look at I look at the intelligence agencies and these contractors and the kind of lies that they've told, and they're killing so many people in our communities. Like, oh, first of all, I want to apologize. Like, my big light went out in my room, and they're weird light bulbs. They're little light bulbs. I have to go buy more. So I have a lamp sitting down here. So sorry about the lighting, but what I was saying is, it's just like, these intelligence agencies and third party contractors, have so much money, to hide things. And I don't know, my personal situation seems to be getting more and more dire because my attackers have like traumatized me for years and years and years. And then they've cleared neural pathways, and they're doing all this stuff with the neuro weapons. So remote neural manipulation, affecting my emotions, and like it's like my brain does not even visualize things like it used to. Um, I still do, but it's like they've pulsed so many regions of my brain with electromagnetic frequencies that it's like my brain just does not work the same. I have a hope though that if we can stop this, we can heal up. Um, but I don't, it would take time, and I don't know the permanent versus the temporary damage this kind of thing does. Um, Gosh, I just, and I hate making videos. I never want to be, I never want to be negative because there's always hope to change things. And I think at this point, it's like, the reason why I'm doing videos with a lot of documentation and things like that is I think that as targeted individuals, well, not as targeted, but as targeted individuals, people who look into things have figured this out. So telling your story about microwaves pulsing and the pain and the gang stalking and stuff like that, there are a certain amount of people that are going to go look it up themselves. They're going to do heavy research. They're going to find out that it's true. So those people know. Targeted individuals, we know that this is happening to us. We know what's going on. We have a solid foundation of kind of the basics of what's happening. Um, the people at this point that I feel like we need to reach are, the people that I feel like we have to reach at this point are people who need solid evidence. The solid evidence is coming out in the mainstream media with them talking about microwaves being the main culprit in the Cuban embassy attack, the China consulate, and also nobody talks much about Uzbekistan. The people who really don't look into conspiracies, true conspiracies that actually are occurring and taking lives and murdering people and torturing people. Those people that don't go on the internet and YouTube and and Facebook and look at alternative news. I feel like those are the people that we need to reach. And since they're seeing the stuff in the mainstream news about microwaves hitting the Cuban embassy, the ambassadors in Cuba, this is a vital time to show them documentation that this is occurring. So that's the reason I'm doing it kind of this way. Plus, I'm trying to find new ways to get this information out because I'm getting sick and tired, and I'm sick of talking about it. You know, yeah, this has been years and years, and I used to have a friend. We don't hang out that much anymore, but you know, we were friends while I was targeted. Um, like a couple of years when I was targeted, and he was like, you know, you talk about this all the time. This is all you talk about. And my problem is that, you know, I have 24-hour a day chatterbox V2K. You know, the remote neural manipulation is just extraordinarily apparent. It's not like a subtle thing. It's like a hammer inside my skull. You know, the things they're doing to me. So even though I want to live life and be like, okay, well, these people are doing this to me, but I'm gonna go ahead and just live life and ignore it. I try to do that to survive, but I can't really have a life with this. The Chatterbox V2K is literally automated, you know, automated V2K to my head, but then real time saying things about what they're doing. So it's a very personal murder all the time for me. And that's why, you know, I have to keep talking about it. Like, we have to stop this for me to have a life. I mean, I'm living, I'm surviving, I'm doing something. I'm really isolated though. I'm really isolated. You know, it's not a balanced life. It's not a healthy life. I give myself, you know, I think we all do this. You know, we give ourselves a break because we're being murdered. We're being murdered by shift workers and automated, you know, directed energy weapon systems. So, you know, I've been playing this new, which is really cool. I've been playing this new Spider-Man game on PS4. One of the awesomest games I've ever played. I love Spider-Man. The technology is just awesome for what they're doing, so I'm enjoying that. But I really rather, you know, be going to a job, you know, be you know, visiting with my family and things like that. So you know, I'm doing some fun stuff, but it's not balanced. It's not balanced like I like. Kind of just rambling here to get myself out of a negative mode, because this is negative. This is negative. This isn't something like, I do kind of want to touch on this, and this is not an offense. I'm not making fun of flat earthers, because I can see how we've been lied to so much about everything. The CIA has lied so much about everything. The top of the pyramid of our society has lied about so many things. I understand how it could be hard. It could be easy to think that we have been lied to about so many things. There's this huge conspiracy about the Earth being flat. However, I do not believe in that theory. There's so many things that you can do on the globe Earth to prove that it is round. But I get, you know, I was kind of looking at how many views and stuff the flat Earth conspiracy gets, and more people are looking up stuff about the Earth being flat. So de-evolution and going back hundreds and hundreds of years to a theory that changed because we had more science and everything to know that the Earth is round. And there are more people looking into that, which doesn't matter. If I believe that the Earth is a globe, but it doesn't matter if it's flat or a globe. When there's like directed energy weapon torture and things happening in our communities that people don't believe, and people are dying. The big question of, is the Earth flat or round or whatever, which I think it should be obvious that it's round. You can actually take this, and this is me rambling on, but my main point is that it's very saddening to see conspiracies or whatever. Or I think that flat Earth is a psyop. I think flat Earth is a psyop, and I'm not trying to insult anybody that believes in it. I've listened to the heads of this flat Earth community, like Mark Sargent and everything. I think he's ex-military. He's a Mason. And with flat earthers, and I'm really getting off topic here, guys. I'm going to try and go through some information too. But the deal is this: with targets, are survivors of non-consensual human experimentation, especially with the neuroweaponry. We get psyops, We get psyoped all the time. We get the remote neural manipulation. We get NLP. Now, what they're trying to do to us is push our beliefs to see what they can get us to not believe in anymore, strong beliefs that they can weaken, and weak beliefs that they can strengthen, uh, strong beliefs that they can take really far to the edge. How can they push us in our beliefs? Psyoping, basically. And now I think that basically, we all in this world live in a huge psyop, social engineering, and a lot of tricks are being played on us in a big way of just how we live every day. When I look at flat Earth, I see a macrocosm of the microcosm that targeted individuals go through. These people who are targeting us, like I'm talking about the electronics corps that are hitting us with microwaves, they push our beliefs with remote neural manipulation, with V2K, with torture, and they try and push us a certain way in a psyop. I see that on a large scale, on a macro scale with the flat Earth. They're trying to take uh, people's doubts about society and everything like that, and then make a huge conspiracy theory to push their beliefs to see what kind of crazy things that they can get people to believe in. And I think this is the military industrial complex and masonry and the top of the pyramid. And I think flat Earth is a test. It's a psyop. It's to see what kind of, let's go hundreds and hundreds of years back in the future, back into the past where people thought the Earth is flat. Let's bring that back and put some pseudoscience with it. And let's see how many people we can get to believe this. And a lot do. I mean, some of their videos get like, tens of thousands of views or something like that. I don't know if they're getting more exposure than us, like people who are really being murdered with directed energy weapon systems, people who really need immediate medical help. We need to stop being murdered. These people who are saying, "Oh, well, is the Earth flat or round?" And no, it's definitely flat. They're having conventions, and a lot of people. It's very scary. Um, now and I'm really not trying to insult flat earthers. There's just like tons of scientific methods that you can use to prove gravity, to prove that objects in space turn into globes, into globe-like structures, objects in space as they rotate. There's also, you can measure a piece of land, like draw a triangle on the Earth and measure what's inside that triangle. And then you can do that same size triangle on a flat surface, and they're going to be different measurements inside the triangle because you have a curvature of the Earth. And this is called, I think it's like spherical something, but you're going to have more space inside that triangle when you make it on the Earth than if you make it on a flat surface, because the curvature of the Earth creates uh, uh, more space inside that triangle. So there's just things in physics and things that you can prove while on the Earth, and people have flown around the globe and things like that. Just obvious stuff that flat earthers, are like, oh, that stuff doesn't exist and that's all made up or something like that. Um, I'm getting way off a topic though, and I don't want to insult any flat earthers. I see how we could just think everything is a lie, because I mean, I'm being murdered in my home and people in my community don't know about it. And it seems like, I don't think at this point that we have to convince a lot of people. I think people know about it, but they just can't do anything about it because it's the intelligence agencies and contractors with millions and millions, trillions of dollars running this program. So people are like, well, I know that people are getting hit with microwaves, but I don't know what to do about it. And they're probably getting hit with microwaves themselves, maybe not horribly directly like us. Um, but I'm getting way off topic. I'm going to go through some information, but I do have the links up at the top. So if I don't get through enough of it, it just makes me really depressed that I guess I'll just be honest, and flat earthers can comment, or if you're a targeted individual who believes that the Earth is flat, because I could see that happening. I could see how we're lied about everything. Our minds are being messed with, they're being experimented on. Why wouldn't we believe that everything is a lie? And I get that. So if you are a targeted individual who does believe in flat Earth, comment on the video. I believe it's insane. I believe it's completely insane, and I do not believe that we went to the moon. I believe the Apollo missions were, staged, and I don't believe we went to the moon. But I still believe the Earth is round. Um, I've been looking into that stuff a lot lately, just to because when I listen to Mark Sargent, and he's this guy. For people who don't know a lot about flat Earth, Mark Sargent is like one of the leaders of the flat Earth community, and he brings Masons onto his show, and they talk about how flat Earth is all in the Masons, and they talk about the Masonic tradition. And it seems like Mark Sargent is ex-military and a Mason, and he's having a lot of fun with flat Earth, and they just disregard science and physics and gravity. They don't even think gravity exists. And Mark Sargent seems like somebody who is put there as a psyop, to kind of wiggle people's brains and be like, well, maybe you don't know what you did know, and psyop people, and explain to them in a way why they should believe in flat Earth, and it's a mystery. And it seems like one hell of a big psyop to me, because I've been psyoped by a program psyoping me, trying to whittle down my faith, trying to push me into more aggressive beliefs, which they've kind of failed on a lot of fronts, but they don't fail with the actual physical entrainment to my brain with microwaves and electromagnetic frequencies, which are the same, but they have to really hardcore or organically get resonance with microwaves to make me feel different and stuff like that. The NLP, the open chatterbox V2K, it has a hard time messing with some of my hard wiring, my beliefs that are very solid, and my faith that is very solid. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I don't comment below, guys. I understand how maybe people could think that we're lied to about everything, but it kind of sickens me. Just to be honest, okay, I'll be honest. It sickens me that people are, going into this flat Earth community and stuff like that, and people are dying. I mean, we are dying. We need help. Like, people that are being hit with directed energy weapons, their minds being raped by neurotechnology, neuro weapons, that live every day in hell. And then people are like, oh, flat Earth. And it kind of pisses me off too. I guess I'll go on a rant. It pisses me off too that our situation, that directed energy weapons and people who are being targeted and gang stalked heavily in their lives are a hell that they have to survive every day, is kind of discussed like flat Earth theory. It's kind of, some people discuss it as just this conspiracy, and that if it's not happening to them, they can discuss it very comfortably and say, "Well, I don't think that's happening. I think the people are a little bit. They think that they're special and blah 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 blah," and they just discuss it like a comfortable conspiracy theory when it's people being cooked by microwaves in their community, and it pisses me off. It pisses me off that things like flat Earth kind of make things that are really happening like this, but are kind of unbelievable because it's advanced technology, seem like they're just lumped into that fucking conspiracy theory category, where people are like, oh, well, let's just discuss this over coffee, and those targeted individuals are so funny, when it's people getting their brains cooked out and people around them not knowing about it, like gang stalkers who don't know shit about the world, and harassing them and traumatizing them even more while they're being murdered. It pisses me off. It pisses me off, and it makes me look at society and go, "This is a giant psyop." Our people up the pyramid, our society and our system up the pyramid is just playing with us like we're microbes in a petri dish. Like, just let's try this and let's try that. We'll kill a bunch of people and nobody will really believe it, and we can actually get some of them to participate in it. This is why I've been putting off making a video, guys, because I'm just really angry and agitated. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get into that. I'm just, a lot of people like come on the conference calls, which I haven't been going on to a lot lately. Been trying to just take a break and get my own thoughts together, and defend more. But they're like, oh, they come on a conference call and hear me, and I'm not nice all the time. I'm a good person, but I'm not nice all the time. And they come on the conference call and they're like, "Yeah, Kyle, he's trying to be Mr. Nice Guy on his videos," and then on the conference calls, I yell at people sometimes. But that's not, I don't really care if people think I'm a nice guy. I want to be diplomatic with this information so that people understand it, because we need help. Like, I've never begged my attackers, like the people who are microwaving. I've never begged them to stop ever, because I know that just doesn't work. And I guess I do have too much pride for that. I've never begged them to stop because I just know it wouldn't help. But I am begging people out there, if you are not being directly targeted like us, I'm begging you to help us. We need help. We are dying. We are dying. Our brains are being messed up so that it's worse than death. Like, when your brain is microwaved all the time, you have these neuro weapons doing certain things to pathways of your brain, to regions of your brain that you don't even really know exactly what they're doing. You know some of the protocols and stuff, but you don't know exactly what's happening to your hypothalamus gland, your thyroid, your endocrine system, your pineal gland. I'm begging people out there who are not directly targeted, please help us. We are dying, and we're getting far. Like, with this, the Guardian has the microwave weapon suspected in embassy ailments. Mainstream media is all talking about this. I know I probably don't get a lot of people who are non survivors of this, which is okay. I still want to give targeted individuals good talking points and a good foundation for making people believe this, because it's coming to them even if they don't know it. It's already probably happening to them and they probably don't know it. Not at the level of people who realize they're targeted, but it's right there. It's right there. And I do want to make the point of, if anybody who does not believe that targeted individuals are telling the truth, which I don't think there's many anymore. I just think that people are trying to figure out what the hell to do about it. And the people who are good guys in our system, in these agencies, are really trying to fight this stuff. They're trying to find a subtle way to bring it back, to bring us back to a peaceful reality, or one that just makes any kind of sense. But I do just want to make the point that targeted individuals, when the Cuban embassy attack happened and they were saying mysterious sonic weapons, I made a video and I said, this is microwaves. And I looked at the people at the bottom of the articles that they said, well, this person thinks it may be microwaves, but the whole article was about other stuff. And I pointed out that this is microwaves. Way months, a year ago, whenever the Cuban embassy attack first came out, I said this is microwaves. And now the mainstream media is saying it. So targeted individuals, right when it came out, were saying this is microwaves, this is directed energy weapon systems. And now that's coming out in the mainstream media. So I'd like to make that point. I'd like to go ahead and make that point to anybody who is still on the fence that this is happening, which that thought just in itself, that people are on the fence about people being murdered in their communities, makes me fucking mad. It makes me fucking mad. And then I look at this flat earth stuff and I'm like, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Whether it's flat or whether it's round. Like, I'm sorry, flat earthers. Because I understand that some people, they go, I'm going to stop talking about it, but there are actual people dying from real factual conspiracies that our intelligence agencies and contractors are actually experimenting on, and murdering people. And I just hate the thought of somebody really comfortable discussing flat earth theory all day, and being really comfortable and going to a job and wearing a it's flat t-shirt, and there's way more important issues. All right, sorry guys, that's my opinion. That's an editorial. I'm not coming down on flat earthers or whatever. We had one come onto the conference call and we discussed it, and no targeted individual on the call agreed with him. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I guess that flat earthers come to us and they think that I don't know, that we'll believe in anything because we're, have a conspiracy theory about directed energy weapons. But the deal is that we're just people being hit with directed energy weapon systems that have really good logic, and actually, are, really smart people. And I'm not saying flat earthers are not smart people, because you can kind of get onto conspiracy theory even having a very high intelligence. And it comes from the fact that you start doubting what they're telling us in society, because we should doubt what what the system is telling us is happening, because they're liars. I'm sorry if I've hurt anybody's feelings. I'm very sorry. Um, but there's so many things that you can do to prove that the Earth is a globe while standing on the globe, while just standing on it. Not to mention, like, airplanes and things like that. And the satellites are real. Because we're being hit with satellites. Target individuals are satellite to cell tower. There's a whole grid. In Google Maps, they have to have satellites up in space in the sky. Um, all right, how long did I take on that rant? And I didn't really say much, huh? I'm kind of just getting it all out. I haven't made a video in a while. I really hope all you survivors of this torture, slow kill, non-consensual human experimentation, I think all these angles are involved. I hope y'all are doing all right out there. I hope y'all are making it. I hope y'all are finding some comfort in this. And I hope you have people around you that love you. If you don't, people who are watching this video and me, we love you. And the people putting out videos about this, they want to help and they love you. I'm gonna start trying to do some live streams, but I want to be able to share my screen and stuff. um, so I don't know if Google Hangouts has the screen sharing option. I've got to look into that, but I kind of want to start doing some live streams and just do some long live streams where we just people ask questions about what we want to look into, and then we just look it up. This is the easiest thing. This is the best thing about our topic, guys. Our Not our topic, but y'all know what I'm saying. Like, what's happening to us. The best thing about it is it's real, is that it's happening. So we can sit there on like a live stream and people could say, well, let's look this up, and we'll be able to find something about it. Now, we probably won't be able to find a third party contractor or the CIA coming out and saying, hey, we're experimenting on human beings. Actually, we do, because there was a general who came out and said we need to experiment with directed energy weapons on our own citizens before we use it in war. That's the only humane option. So we do we do have that. But we can just most of the things that we want to talk about, we can find evidence for them because they're really happening. We don't have to search that hard. We just have to look under whatever rock it's under and then put it out. Um, all right, guys, I'm kind of sorry about my rambling today. I got to get it out sometimes. I like making these videos because they make me feel like I'm doing something, and they kind of, I feel like I'm getting this out of me because I'm sitting there isolated with it, taking its toll on me every day. Um, I thank God, that I have things like Dave Case's CD and some of the other defenses grounding the Faraday bunker and things like that, that do relieve a lot of it, but it's still very painful. And a lot of the remote neural manipulation, I'm not sure what kind of frequencies those are running on. I know the carrier frequencies, but they're probably very unique frequencies, to implants, nanotechnology, nanoparticulates, or, probably have a certain fingerprint on them of our brainwave frequency, of our unique brainwave frequency. Um, so, well, I just wanted to show you this article, guys. Microwave weapons suspected in U.S. Embassy ailments. This came out on September 2nd, and it's from The Guardian, and it's with mostly, the same information. Um, Gosh, I feel really, I don't want to insult flat earthers, but I just, there's so many things that can disprove that. And I believe in a lot of factual conspiracies. But that's one that is just like disgusting to me. And the people who believe it aren't disgusting to me. They're just people who are looking into it and they're staying open minded. Um, but man, there's so much evidence there, guys, that is not true. That's not how our universe works. I'm probably gonna make a lot of people mad with that, but I'm gonna go ahead and put out this video. But I don't hate flat earthers or anything, and I study it to see what kind of arguments and everything. But I do really factually believe it's a theory of mine that flat Earth theory is a psyop. It is to see how they can push beliefs and how they can. Uh, Intelligence agencies and groups that have spawned out of intelligence agencies, like um, organizations and things that study people's thinking and sociology, uh, um, in social things in society. I think that they have presented that out on the internet. Not, and it's for a bunch of different angles. You know, this is my theory, guys, and I want flat earthers to know my theory is that there's a lot of different angles to them putting out something like flat earth theory on the internet to discredit things like targeted individuals, like people being murdered with directed energy weapons, because then you can lump in everything like, oh, it's that targeted individuals, flat earther, lump things into conspiracy category and put one big fat one that doesn't make any sense. And flat earthers comment. These are my, if you want to call them beliefs, there's a lot of science behind the Earth being a globe. But we are being lied to about a lot of things, so I can understand that. Okay, what was I talking about? Yeah, I do believe there's a lot of angles, and it also, just like a lot of cults, like the Jim Jones cult, I think that had to do a lot with the CIA. The CIA was seeing how far they could bring people, what they could make them believe, and how they could get them to follow somebody. And I think that flat Earth is kind of like that. It's not like the Jim Jones cult. It's not dangerous. Flat Earthers aren't dangerous, but it's to see how far they can bring their beliefs. And I'm telling you, targeted individuals, we get psyoped a lot directly from our electronics corps, the people who are microwaving us, and gang stalkers. We get a lot of psyops. And I'm seeing that on a macro scale in the flat earth thing. Um, that's my theory on it. But please, if you're angry about it or whatever, comment, and I'll talk to you in the comment section. But this is just so real. What target individuals are going through is so real, and it's murdering us second by second, that I wish that people would focus on really important things that are actually happening on a second to second basis. It seems like people like looking at the big picture. I mean, a lot of target individuals do too, and that's okay. You start things in the world don't line up. The hierarchy is lying and even murdering us, and target individuals, like target individuals are being murdered. And then you start looking at the big picture. What else have we been lied about? So I'm not insulting anybody here. Those are just my personal beliefs on flat earth. I've just never seen any arguments that um, that had persuaded me or anything like that. And it seems like they decided that the Earth was, they made scientific leaps and bounds with gravity and everything, and figured that out, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, that the world was round. And now we're going back to an argument that was a primitive argument. Um, a lot of people probably will disagree with me though, so I'm gonna keep moving on. That was kind of my rambling, and if it gets people talking about stuff, that's fine. I know I shouldn't have gone into all that, but I have been looking at it a lot lately, and I listen to Mark Sargent, and I'm like, this guy is a Mason, and he's playing around with people. He's making money from his. That's my feelings on Mark Sargent. Mm, we live in a effing crazy world. An effing crazy world. My mind has a hard time not being just ripped apart in a million directions. Because of what my attacker is doing to me. All right, guys, but let's move on. I just wanted to show you all this. Let me see if there's anything different in it. I wanted to see if they had anything about the that scientist Galom. All right, guys. So this was basically a ranting video. I do want to go to this because there's a guy on the calls, and somebody I personally talked to, a targeted individual who is very smart. He's a good researcher, Patrick or Inca Rhodes, and two really important things that he points out and highlights to be super super important is the shoot oh gosh directed energy professional society. So this is right out in the open. This is an organization that is trying to have an educational outreach to society, and try and get people interested in directed energy weapons and things like that. And they, post they talk about them and pose them in a positive light and everything like that. If you see on this, this pamphlet, you see high-powered microwaves, and that's what I'm being hit with, and other targeted individuals are being hit with. But they don't talk about the human experimentation and things like that. They talk about the directed energy weapon systems that stop ballistic missiles, lasers, things like that. I guess non-lethal crowd control and stuff like that. None of these contractors or the directed energy professional society talk about the actual human experimentation that has gone on in the past and is going on now. But he thinks that this is really really important, and I do too. He's a very smart researcher. Then there's another thing I want to go over after this that's really important too. I'm gonna take a little drink of my Red Bull. I don't really like. I'm not insulting. I'm kind of I'm just not insulting flat earthers. I get it. I get, but it's like I just, when I look at that, I look at it as kind of a frivolous, fun conspiracy theory, and I look at our what we're going through, and I'm like, we're dying and we need help, and I'm like, can't you guys in the flat Earth movement? Can't you focus on like the people being murdered with directed energy weapons, something, a conspiracy that is factual, rather than something that it's like everybody just kind of talks about but nobody really goes anywhere with it. Um, I'm sorry, flat earthers. I don't want to insult you. And I think there are some targeted individuals who are probably flat earthers because we're lied to so much, and some people, do get into that. Uh, but I'm not insulting you guys. I'm not. I'm insulting the theory, but I'm not insulting the people that believe in the theory. You know. So uh, I guess that's all I'm going to say about that. I just really want flat earthers to know that I'm not insulting them. Oh, I feel like shit, guys. Oh, my brain is just microwaved in. My body feels chewed up, and I did actually, like, I'd been kind of using Dave Case's CD every other night, and then falling asleep on my leather couch every other night. So one night on of Dave Case's CD, then one night off of it. I recently forced myself to use Dave Case's CD for nights in a row, in that pulsing in my back and my spine from remote neural manipulation was a lot better, because I listened to Dave Case's CD for 2 nights in a row instead of one night on, one night off. It really does make a difference, how often you listen to it. Because if you do take a lot of time off from it and just listen to it occasionally, then your attackers kind of hack back in, if you want to call it that. But they get that radio receiver link with your nervous system of your brain back in while you're not listening to it. So the more that you can listen to it for long periods, the more that it cuts off that connection and that entrainment and that resonance they're trying to build with your brain and your nervous system. Um, I had to slow down and get through this information. I feel really bad. I don't want to insult flat earthers, but I've just looked into that theory a lot. It's interesting. It's interesting to talk about. It is. It's like, oh, can you prove that the Earth's a globe? And I mean, I think that I can. I can do it in a lot of different ways. I don't want to take up time on a video about non-consensual human experimentation because that's the priority for me, and I know a lot of you other target individuals out there. But I might go through some things because I brought it out on this video. I might make a video kind of just going through all the proofs that you can actually prove while you're still on the earth to prove that it is a globe that we live on. And things that they've done with aircraft and things like that. Now, I think that one thing flat earthers say is that everything is a lie, basically. You know, all these scientific things and everything. I believe that some things that NASA done are a huge lie. And I might go into some of those things too, just things that I've been researching. I don't want to get us too off on those things though, because this is the priority. This is something that's really happening. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to talk about, hey, did we go to the moon or not? It's fun to talk about that, but that's really in the past, and lives aren't being lost at the second because of it. So it's a fun conspiracy theory that I actually do not believe that we went to the moon with what they said we did when they said we did. But I think that, well, I won't go into all that, but those are things like flat Earth theory and the moon landing hoax. Those are fun things to talk about. But what I'm talking about is not a conspiracy theory. This is something happening in our communities. We're being murdered from it. So I'd like to ask people who are into those things to maybe make this a priority, because people are dying from it. And then once we maybe get people to stop being murdered by directed energy weapon systems and stuff like that, then we can talk about, like, hey, is there a flat around? Kind of, I'm not making fun of it, guys, because I know, I'm not making fun, of it. But there's a lot of weird stuff in this world and a lot of true conspiracies, and I can see how people, could go even further and think that we were lied to about really big things that really can be proven, though. All right, I'll stop, guys. I'll stop. Y'all can tell I'm not doing good because I'm rambling. I did want to go through this a little bit, and I didn't go through it in detail. Um, didn't go through it in detail, but with 2018 Directed Energy Educational Outreach, this is by Directed Energy Professional Society. How much? I bet you I'm in an hour. Almost in an hour. This is their webpage, Directed Energy Professional Society. They talk about contracts. They talk about which third-party contractors are getting contracts to manufacture or do research and development on directed energy weapon systems. This is the Directed Energy Professional Society newsletter. Directed Energy Professional Society grants 140,000 in directed energy focused graduate scholarships. So we can see kind of what they're doing and what some of the things they are. They're giving scholarships to people who maybe go into college for directed energy focused studies and things like that. A horrible thing. I mean, some things that they do that the military industrial complex is doing with directed energy are kind of cool. Stopping ballistic missiles, certain kind of lasers in warfare and things like that. But they've gone over the line and crossed it a million times with now just ripping apart citizens in every country, and torturing them and everything like that. So let's read this little thing at the bottom. Directed Energy Podcast, The Changing Role of the Warfighter. Trey Obering leads Booz Allen Hamilton's Directed Energy Innovation Team. Hear him discuss how he thinks that directed energy will change the role of the warfighter at the speed of light. So they talk about it in positive ways. They talk about directed energy weapons in positive ways, and how it's going to help the soldier to fight and everything like that. So they're not touching the fact that people are being experimented on and murdered with directed energy weapons who have done no wrong. So let's see what other news in their newsletter. Laser beam attacks Betavill U.S. military pilots in Mideast. Space-based laser weapons could ultimately take out missile threats in boost phase. It's Raytheon versus Dynetics. Lockheed for Army's 100 kilowatt laser. Lukowski tenure marked by effectiveness, Air Force readiness. So there's some of the headlines. I just wanted to give you all the link for their website, but I want to go back to the pamphlet. This is a 78-page brochure by the Directed Energy Professional Society doing outreach, educational outreach. But if they're going to do educational outreach on directed energy weapons, the Directed Energy Professional Society, they should say that it's being tested on innocent human beings in society. I think that's only fair. If they want to talk about it, they need to talk about all of it. But of course, they're just gonna, promote it in a positive light, and say, oh, how great it is and how it's gonna help the military and everything like that. Directed energy to the District of Columbia, educational exhibits, Pentagon exhibit of directed energy hardware. So the Pentagon is like heavily involved with directed energy weapon systems, works with DARPA and the CIA, and then that trickles down to third-party contractors. Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen Hamilton, which is actually could be its own branch of government, Booz Allen Hamilton, because it's so large, but it's actually a private company, which manufactures and does research and development on directed energy weapon systems, and they subcontract it out to many other third-party contractors such as Strategis, Arcadis, Kratos. Kratos. So what is the purpose of the Directed Energy Educational Outreach Campaign? The National Directed Energy Outreach Campaign aims to 1. Promote transition of directed energy technologies into operational use through educational outreach to decision makers and warfighters, and 2. Provide technical expertise to warfighters and decision makers as they incorporate directed energy systems. So, excuse me while I try and swallow my throw up, because all they're going to do is put it in a professional light while people are being mutilated to death by them. These people need to be put in check. So what is directed energy? Directed energy technologies encompass a wide range of non-kinetic capabilities that generate beams or fields of electromagnetic energy. Directed energy weapons propagate this energy to engage a target remotely at the speed of light. So microwaves remotely, let me read that. Directed energy weapons propagate this energy to engage a target remotely at the speed of light. So Directed Energy Professional Society, they're giving scholarships out to people who are studying things in college about directed energy related topics. They're involved, in keeping track of who gets what contract and governmental contractors. They're saying right there, propagate this. Let's see, where was I? Speed of light. Directed energy weapons propagate this energy to engage a target remotely at the speed of light, including high energy lasers or high powered microwaves, producing precise, scalable effects against multiple targets at a very low cost per shot. Because they're not wasting bullets, they're just shooting streams of energy into your head and cooking it and actually accessing your nervous system through your brain. Jesus. I can't believe what I'm talking about and what I'm being I have Chatterbox V2K going on right now. I'm being hit with a microwave in the back of my neck right now, and I'm sitting here talking about it. And well, a lot of people know about it, and a lot of people are doing something about it. I'm amazed that people are not rioting in the streets because people are being murdered with this stuff. People casually talk about this if it's not going on with them. Okay, let's read this part. See what they think the key benefits of directed energy technologies. Let's go to the DEWs. Directed energy weapons offer non-lethal warning, escalation of force, ISR and counter-ISR counter-electronics, which my attackers have busted my phone charger. So now I plug it in the bathroom and it just goes doo-doo-doo, like it makes the sound on my phone because they've just heated up the actual tip of the charger that plugs in. They've destroyed 1 million batteries. They attacked my CD player. This is on a small scale of what they can do to electronics in just a targeted individual's environment. But they can also probably take down servers and things like that. Um, so DOs offer non-lethal warning, escalation of force, ISR, and mechanical parts in cars, electrical systems in cars, which mine is having a huge problem. DOs offer non-lethal warning, escalation of force, ISR and counter ISR, counter electronics, counter munitions, and counter IED capabilities at a fraction of the cost per engagement compared to traditional Connect options. As a complement to existing weapons, DOs offer the U.S. military a cost-effective capability enhancement to address evolving threats. One of the key benefits of directed energy technologies are scalable effects, i.e., target impacts that range from temporary disruption to permanent damage. So they're admitting it there, and this is the Directed Energy Professional Society. Because probably if I was getting hit with what I was getting hit with for like a week, it would be very temporary. It'd be a temporary thing that my body would shake off pretty quickly. Some microwaves and stuff at the level that I'm getting it, but years and years and years and years and years of it, permanent damage at certain levels, um, which I don't know. I don't know what I could heal from and what I couldn't if this stopped. Um, yeah, it's just, yeah, that is what it is. With HELs, I'm not sure what that is. Effects can range from dazzling or blocking visibility only when illuminated to ablation and damage, usually causing the target to catch fire. With HPM, effects can range from interruption, e.g., shutting off an engine that can later be restarted, to permanent damage to electronics within the target. What's HEL? High something, high electricity something. I don't know. Something to do with shutting down electronics. Okay. So I'm going to read this about who they are, who the Directed Energy Professional Society is, and what they say they do. I mean, these are people with a lot of money. They're giving scholarships out, so nobody can say, "Hey, directed energy weapons don't exist." Right? Right? These are Directed Energy Professional Societies. They work with the contractors. They give scholarships out. This is proof right in your face. Hold on 1 second. Just really agitated, messed up right now. Hope I'm not. I hope I'm not being grating on people. Getting through this information. I guess, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's possible to make this information fun for me, because like I'm being murdered with it so badly. So I kind of try and make jokes and make it fun and interesting, because I want more than just targeted individuals coming to the channel. I want people who are looking into alternative news, people who create alternative news, people who are conspiracy minded, real conspiracies. Um, Shit, even flat earthers can come watch if they want. And that was a joke. But I sometimes I have a hard time making this fun, because directed energy weapons are not fun to me. They are the murderers of my family. Directed energy weapons and the people who are practicing, training, doing research and development with them, and experimentation, torture protocols, psyops with them and everything like that. So I try and wait till I'm in a better mood to do these videos, so I can kind of laugh some things off. But it's hard for me to laugh some of these things off. It's become so serious and dark. The length of time these people have been doing what they've been doing to me, and that I go to a psychiatrist who asks me if I feel like I'm gonna hurt anybody. Those are just, and I'm being murdered at the time. And of course I'm not gonna hurt anybody. Of course I'm not gonna hurt myself. But these murderers, nobody asks them why they're doing this or anything like that, or arrest them for murdering innocent citizens. And well, those questions, like my psychiatrist that I go to, she just asks those questions as as the regular thing is going through what is it? The God, I can't even remember. The I want to say DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles. The D, what is it? Oh, I can't remember. The DSM. Oh wow, yeah, the DSM. I think she just goes through the DSM and asks me those questions. She pretty much knows. But when the problem with the problem with that is this: the problem with me sitting there and talking to somebody about something they don't believe in, like, so I'm like, I'm being murdered. I'm being murdered by directed energy weapons, and there are people who, do shift work, and a lot of it's automated AI and automated software and stuff like that. The chatterbox, a lot of it's automated. Um, Now it's happening, and I'm hurting from it. I'm getting murdered. My brain is affected by it, my nervous system. But when you have a person sitting across from you that doesn't believe that it's happening, then you seem very dangerous to them. Even though it's happening, and I don't want to call myself a victim, but I'm the survivor. I'm the one who's being hurt. I'm the one who's dealing with it in a good way. But since she doesn't believe that it even exists, then I become very, I mean, I don't scare my psychiatrist, but anybody who doesn't believe in it, the person becomes very scary. Their brain, what is their brain thinking if that, because they don't believe that it's happening? So I hope that people see how much injustice that is. I hope you can understand it, because to feel it is a million times worse than even understanding that that injustice exists. When I'm being murdered by electronic weapons, electronic harassment, murdered by directed energy weapon systems, and I've got somebody asking if I'm going to hurt somebody, they're checking on me because they don't believe it even exists. That's being punished for being murdered. That's being murdered, then having to use defenses and stuff like that. That's a tertiary torture of having to use defenses, and then being punished for being murdered because people don't believe that it's happening. So that's injustice. What, to the quintuple power, to it's like, injustice with the little five exponent on it, or infinity, really, because it just it's layers and layers of injustice on that. Let me get off that topic. I'm rambling a lot today, guys. I had so much information to get through. um and I swore to myself, because these are very important things to Patrick. Directed Energy Professional Society. The links are here to come and look at this stuff. I can't go through the whole 78-page brochure, but the links are here to come look at it. I think somebody on my on the conference calls the other day, they said, "Oh man, this guy is talking about directed energy weapons, and he can't even dress himself." I think it's because I do this a lot, because I have my Q Wave defenders on, and they bring the shirt down. So that's why I'm doing that. I'm actually, wearing a bunch of Q Wave defenders that put out positive frequencies that do a little bit in a large quantity, do a little bit to some of the external microwaves coming in. Forgot what I was talking about, guys. Yeah, I promised myself I was going to do justice to this material, but since the links are up and you guys can come see it, and I'll go through as much of it as possible. Two very important things that Patrick focuses on, and he's an awesome researcher. He finds stuff I don't even know how he finds it. And since they're important to him, I think they're important. You know, I see the reasons they're important in my own mind, but why I was like, whoa, these two things are very important, is because he thought they were important, and he's a great researcher. So I'm going to go ahead and read what the Directed Energy Professional Society says that it is. The Directed Energy Professional Society, DEPS, fosters the research, development, and transition of directed energy technologies, including high energy laser. Okay, so that's what they were talking about. And high power microwave technologies for national defense and civil applications through professional communication and education. We are recognized as the premier organization for exchanging information and advocating research, development, and application of directed energy. Oh, wow. Founded in 1999, DEPS is incorporated as a nonprofit corporation in New Mexico. organized and operated exclusively for charitable, scientific, and educational purposes. And I would not be surprised at all, guys. And this is factual with how the CIA operates. If the leader, the whatever the board of Directed Energy Professional Society are come from the CIA or other intelligence agencies, because that's how they do it. You know, the ex CIA agents or current CIA agents get put into positions like this with organizations, and they are not known as CIA agents, but are still really working for the CIA. It's gotten so bad. Like, to anybody who does not know how the intelligence agencies and contractors, third party contractors, and all these different alphabet agencies have just taken over, and they're really more powerful, and they're so secretive that our real government sometimes doesn't know what they're doing. You need to listen to Kevin Shipp, and there's a lot of other whistleblowers out there, but it's bad. It's bad, guys. um, so each academic year, DEPS offers individual graduate scholarships of $10,000. The number of annual scholarship awards depends on available funding, which is provided by grants for the Joint Directed Energy Transition Office and the Office of Naval Research. The traditional academic disciplines involved in DE research include physics, electrical engineering, chemistry, chemical engineering, material sciences, optical sciences, optical engineering, and aerospace engineering. DEPS hosts several conferences and workshops annually and biannually to further information exchange and collaboration amongst the DE community. Unique to DEPS is our ability to host meetings at varying classification levels, from sessions that are open to the public to those that cover classified research material. DEPS provides each attendee a copy of the respective proceedings from the meeting based on their individual clearance level. In addition to the annual symposia, DEPS also sponsors a series of short courses that support continuing DE education and further professional development. Continuing education unit credits are offered upon completion of such DEP courses. A listing of DE short course offerings and upcoming events can be found at our website, www.deps.org, Directed Energy Professional Society. Now these, I'm going to go, how do I, oh, my picture's over, put my picture over here. And then I want to do this. Okay, so these, so Directed Energy Outreach Campaign. I don't think these people need outreach. This is insane. These third-party contractors have millions and millions of dollars, and then they need an organization for community outreach for directed energy weapons. That's insane. This is insane. So 27-7 optical systems. These are some of the researchers. These are the third party contractors and corporations who are either manufacturing or doing research and development with directed energy weapon systems. Our focus should be high powered microwaves. Some target individuals are hit with lasers. I'm not. I'm hit extensively with remote, with neuro weapons and microwaves, directed energy weapon systems, and then like some toxins and chemicals. I get those things. So I'm just going to read some of them. Radiance Technologies, Applied Technology Associates, AFRL, Air Force Research Laboratory, Optimax, ARA, Coherent, DSIAC, Defense Systems Information Analysis Center, Booz Allen Hamilton, BAE Systems, and some of these may look familiar from that the WikiLeaks market report, that I've gone through a lot of several times, and Susie Dawkins did too. Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Joint Transition Office, directed energy, uh, Pax Custimus, uh, Vita Custimus, General Atomics, Lados, NAVSEA Warfare Centers, Schaefer, L3. L3 is huge. Uh, College of Engineering, University of Missouri, uh, NAWC, Naval Air Warfare Center, U.S. Naval Research Laboratory, LaserTel, Brashear, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Harius, MZA, U.S. Army RDE Com, and Sandia National Laboratories. All right, now I'm going to flip it back. Okay, so it's a long brochure kind of talking about what they do and everything, what their purpose is, to show directed energy weapons in a positive light. National scope of directed energy activities. Now, this could actually be helpful to us because we might want to go to areas. I know we can get hit, anywhere in the world, but we might want to go to areas where there's not so much activity. I don't ever talk to, and everybody says this. I don't talk to a lot of targeted individuals in Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, and you see that there's not places where there's activity up here. You see up at the top, and what's this? What's that? Michigan has a lot of activity. Which one's Montana? Oh man, I'm showing my lack of geography skills here. Is that Montana? The one with the top thing going up? I gotta look at a map. I'm not doing good. That's interesting though. You see the states up at the top with no directed energy activity. I think that probably I live in Louisiana, and if I went to one of those places, I would still get hit because they probably still have things set up there. But I don't know. There probably aren't as many target individuals in those areas, and that's something for us to look into. Um, okay. But y'all can come check it out yourselves. Um, you guys can come, and I just got to the table of contents, so I'm not going to be able to go through the whole thing. But I did want to give the link. I think this is a good link to the brochure, and you can just go through and just see all the stuff. And this goes for non-targeted individuals too. You can just see all the stuff that they're putting out. You know, Joint Directed Energy Transition Office, establishing the foundation for directed energy weapon systems. I mean, they're just putting it out in the public. They put everything out in the public about directed energy weapon systems, except, hey, we're experimenting. We're using neuroweaponry and directed energy weapons on the public, on innocent people in the public. They say everything else about it, except that thing. So it's all out there. They just don't come. Oh, and they do, and they do. And I'm gonna get that video of him saying that, or it may have been an article. But the general is saying that they needed to test directed energy weapon systems on the public before they used them for warfare. That was the only humane thing to do. So I'm not gonna. I did want to go over some more information, but this is a 78-page brochure that gives non-lethal weapons program directed energy capabilities. You see, it has a lot of information. So this is really important information. Lethal force, the force continuum. This is interesting. Hail and warn, deter, move, deny, suppress, dissuade, stop, defeat, disable. They have the military presence to lethal force continuum. I think a lot of that with target individuals, though, it's more, trauma-based behavioral control. It's not. It's like testing the weapons to see how they affect us, and also behavioral control through trauma. It's not really trying to stop us. They don't really think we're dangerous. They may actually say that to some of the people who work for DHS. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of lies they tell about us to DHS fusion centers, or some of my neighbors around me. Um, my maintenance guy like sniffs around me a lot, and he's a good guy. Like, he's a good guy in every respect in his life. I think he's ex-military, I think. But I think they told him something really bad about me, maybe that I was on drugs or I was dangerous or crazy, because he like sniffs. Like, that's his gang stalking maneuver now, is when I walk by he'll sniff, and he's really good and subtle about it. Like, he does it in a way where it's not like right in my face. It's like before he starts talking to me, he'll like sniff and stuff like that. That's one of those things that I try to ignore, though, because a lot of people sniff and stuff like. But he does it every time, and it's so subtle. It's so subtle that I can tell he's doing it on purpose. You know. I see him as just somebody who's been lied to, and he thinks he's protecting his community and doing community policing. I don't think he really knows or would believe in directed that people are being hit with directed energy weapons. Nor have I tried to convince him. I put up flyers around my condo, and I think he sees them, but I think it reinforces his idea that I'm crazy and that I need to be community police, because he doesn't know anything about directed energy weapons. So I don't know, but he may know about them and still participate. So, all right. So I'm gonna let you guys come here and look at this whole brochure. It's really long. Directed Energy Directorate. The Air Force Research Laboratory's mission to equip the United States Air Force with cutting-edge technology is vital to our nation's security. The Secretary of the Air Force and the Chief of Staff of the Air Force identified directed energy as a game-changing technology in the 2017 Air Force Strategy. America's Air Force, a call to the future. The AFRL, Directed Energy Directorate, is proud to play a critical role in our nation's defense as experts in developing directed energy weapons that offer transformational capabilities to the warfighter. And it shows you what war is, because I'm an innocent American, and my family, they're innocent Americans, and we're being murdered. So how is this protecting innocent Americans if they're murdering innocent Americans with the technology? How does that work exactly? Because I've never figured that one out. But when you understand war is a racket, Smedley Butler wrote a book, War is a Racket, and it is true. To murder both sides and to make money off of it. So, all right. It has a lot of great information. I just can't go through it all, and I'm already getting really long-winded, and I want it to go through. You see, it has all this information. This is a very good resource, target individuals. Very good resource, and something really good to show. I hope y'all can get to it with this link. Something very good to show people who don't believe that this stuff exists. Um, and I may go through some more of it. Like on a later video, I might go through something. I still need to read through it all, and things that I find that are just like, bombshell information. I'll maybe do in later videos. This will be kind of an ongoing thing where I go through some of this. Okay. All right, guys. I do want to go through one more thing. Yeah, I'm just going to go through one more thing on this video, because I'm just not feeling good at all. But I wanted to go over, this is another thing that Patrick thinks is very important. I think a lot of other target individuals think it's important too. But I kind of, I'm trying to go over some stuff that people who do a lot of good research give me. And I've gone over this before, but I wanted to make a specific point about the Moscow microwaves. I want to go ahead and read a little bit of this report, and then it's a part of an article, and then I want to make a point to non-target individuals, because I know target individuals will kind of understand what I'm talking about. But microwaves in the Cold War, the Moscow Embassy Study and its interpretation, review of a retrospective cohort study. So this is kind of a medical study of what happened from 1953 to 1976. Give me 1 second, guys. Take a drink. Glad y'all can't see my place. I'm glad y'all can only see a little bit of it. It's just a mess. Looks like a rat's nest in here. I'm living filth. I'm gonna take some time out and just, that'll kind of be my workout for the day, cleaning up my place, listening to some music or something. Okay. So background. From 1953 to 1976, beams of microwaves of 2.5 to 4.0 gigahertz were aimed at the U.S. Embassy building in Moscow. An extensive study investigated the health of embassy staff and their families, comparing Moscow embassy staff with staff in other Eastern European U.S. embassies. The resulting large report has never been published in peer-reviewed literature. The results. The extensive study reports on mortality and morbidity recorded on medical records and by regular examinations and on self-reported symptoms. Exposure levels were low, but similar or greater than present-day exposures to radio frequency sources such as cell phone base stations. The conclusions were that no adverse health effects of the radiation were shown. The study validity depends on the assumption that staff at the other embassies were not exposed to similar radio frequencies. This has been questioned and other interpretations of the data have been presented. Conclusions. The conclusions of the original report are supported. Contrary conclusions given in some other reports are due to misinterpretation of the results. So I just want to give the background real quick of the incident, and there's some other good articles that I could go through, but I just wanted to give it from this. This is from the actual U.S. National Library of Medicine National Institutes of Health. From 1953 to 1976, beams of microwaves of 2.5 to 4.0 gigahertz were aimed at the U.S. Embassy building in Moscow. That means remote aiming of microwaves in 1953. So I want to make a point here. Let me make my point after I read. Okay, that was a horrible advertisement. I go to this Go Movie site where I'm like watching Tales from the Crypt and stuff, and they put up lewd. That may have actually been my attackers. That's not like anything porno or anything like that. And actually, I'm not saying that I don't watch porno, but I don't watch it on this computer because I do these videos. And I don't watch it that often. I'm too tired, to do anything like that. But sometimes a guy, you have to do stuff like that. But that was sorry about that, guys. Get the kids out of the room for that one. At least it wasn't any kind of what Alex Jones. It's just regular. Wow. Okay, let me stop talking about that. I think my attackers kind of do that. They pull up advertise. That's how they're gonna, work on my videos here. I'm gonna put it out. I don't care. So, okay, let me. But I swear it's not from a porn site because I don't have anything like that on this computer. I don't have much of it at all. Oh gosh. Oh god, that's kind of funny. All right, so let me read this background here. I'm trying to make an important point, and something like that happens. Oh my god. Okay, background. Beams of microwaves from Soviet sources aimed at the U.S. Embassy building in Moscow were detected since 1953, increasing in intensity in 1975. In 1976, an ambitious epidemiological study was commissioned by the U.S. Department of State. Wait, okay, let me restart that. I got distracted by that butt. I got distracted by that butt. Beams of microwaves. Okay, let me start over, guys. Give me a second. Beams of microwaves from Soviet sources aimed at the U.S. Embassy building in Moscow were detected since 1953, increasing in intensity in 1975. In 1976, an ambitious epidemiological study was commissioned by the U.S. Department of State to investigate possible health effects on the staff of the U.S. Embassy in Moscow and their families. The study was carried out by Abraham Lilienfeld, deceased 1984, and colleagues at the Department of Epidemiology at Johns Hopkins University. The study has never been published in detail. It has been cited several times with varying interpretations. This review is based on the main 1978 report obtained from the Johns Hopkins University Library and on published literature referring to it. The frequency was 2.5 to 4.0 gigahertz, and the exposure levels, while low compared to accepted exposure standards, were higher than typical present-day exposures of the public to, for example, cell phone base stations, so the study has relevance to current issues of health effects. I kind of didn't even know what I was reading there. But basically, the point that I want to make about the Moscow incident, the Moscow, I guess I call it the Moscow Embassy microwave incident, you could call it, was that in 1953, the world was aware that Russia, well, not in 1953, but this came out. So in 1953, Russia, therefore the United States, had capabilities to remotely hit people with microwaves. I think we can all see that by information on the Moscow microwaves and everything like that. It's very important to understand that the remote capability to remotely hit people with microwaves was around at least since 1953, maybe before. Now, bring it to 2018. And you got all these people who are targeted individuals like me saying we're being hit with microwaves, microwave pulses to the head, to the nervous system. They're doing all this crazy stuff to our electromagnetic organ, which is the brain, which is our brain. They're doing all this stuff to it with microwaves. They're hitting our body. It's torturous, 24 hours a day. They're doing something. They're hitting us. Now, every target individual doesn't agree about why, but think about it. 1953, Russia and the United States probably had the ability to hit people remotely with microwaves. Now you go all the way to 2018. Think about how technology progresses and how the military-industrial complex is probably 50 years ahead of even that. But technology increases exponentially and also can be mass-produced. So you get these third-party contractors. They're mass-producing these, remote platforms that can target people with microwaves from satellite to cell tower, to us, from drones, ground weapons, a bunch of ground weapons that we're hit with, and everything like that. So 1953, we know that they were capable of doing this, and we know the United States probably was too if Russia had the technology. So come all the way to 2018, you have all these people all over the world saying we're being hit with microwaves for long periods of time. They're researching and developing it. So they already knew how to hit somebody with microwaves in 1953. That's not the point of their experiments and all this crap right now, is how to hit somebody with a microwave. They already know how to do that. And they already basically know how to torture the shit out of somebody. But they're learning other things. They're working on protocols and perfecting protocols, seeing how many people will do it. Our attackers are an experiment. It's like that Stanford prison experiment. They're seeing how many people will microwave people and do this anonymously, so they'll know that if they get a chance to have some kind of martial law and use certain people to put people in camps or whatever, they know how many people will do it and how they feel about it and stuff like that. Lots of research and development, lots of experiments, the neuro weapons and things like that. But my main point is we know in 1953 that Russia had the capability of hitting people remotely with microwaves. Now bring it to 2018. So that's all I'm saying. Now I want to go to, I'm getting really long-winded on this, and I think that the picture of the butt took up a lot of time, it was a nice butt. I really I'll show you all this. I really do not go on porno on this computer. I go to this, I'll show you. I'll watch movies on this Go Movie site. I was watching the Purge the other day. See this site? I go here and it started popping up things, and I think my attackers may have even gotten into it, and are trying to make things pop up while I'm doing the video. Oh, Predator's out. Nice. So I go to that site. Ooh, and I probably shouldn't have shown that, because it's a free movie site, but that's where I get those kind of advertisements from, and they don't have any porno movies or anything on that site. So I'm just showing y'all where that came from. If y'all have a question about it, because this is a long video, important information, and I don't really want to have to do it over again. And my life's kind of an open book. I tell people, how I am. I think people do, but I want to go back to that. Okay, I'm really getting off topic here because this is a really important point. I don't want to take people's attention off of these important points, non-target individuals and target individuals. But I do want to say, like, a lot of people think that, like, I want people to like me and I want to be a nice guy. I'm diplomatic because that's how we get things done. Um, sometimes I yell at people. Sometimes I get mad. Sometimes I get agitated. Sometimes I cuss. Sometimes, I'm a very imperfect human being. Now I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy, and I know all the target individuals I know are good people. Pretty much all the target individuals I know are good people. But I don't want people to think that I'm trying to be Mr. Nice Guy so people will like me. Diplomacy is how we get things done, not violence. You gather more flies with honey and stuff like that. But I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to play myself off as, like, some perfect human being. Now, I haven't committed any crimes or done anything evil in my life. I've never made any big mistakes like murdering anybody or doing anything horrible like that. Mistake. It's not a mistake to murder somebody. That's a horrible, evil thing. So I just want to say that because I think a lot of people are like, oh, he's trying to be Mr. Perfect Christian and stuff. I'm not. I'm not. I'm a very flawed individual. I like to make, stupid jokes and cuss and stuff like that. Um, but enough of that. I just want y'all to know that because I don't want y'all to think I'm trying to be something I'm not. That's one thing at this part of my life with all this stuff that's happening to me that I'm letting go of and I think everybody wants to be liked and stuff like that, and you kind of bend over backwards to please people sometimes. But I'm just trying to be me. I'm trying to figure out kind of when I started getting targeted. Who am I? How did this affect me when I didn't even know I was being targeted? So I'm really trying to let go of some of those things and just be who I am and do what I think is right, which I think all of us are trying to do. All target individuals are getting hit. But I'm getting off the topic. Um, I'm getting off the topic. I hope anybody because she had clothes on, so I just hope that doesn't screw up the video. Watch, my attackers are probably going to make that the thumbnail for this. I'll have to change it back. So I do want to just go to this because this last thing, because it kind of solidifies. Where is it? Oh, I got to take that off there. Where? Okay, here it is. I wanted to just do show this last article, and then I'm going to wrap it up, guys. So this is an article from the New York Times. Soviet halts microwaves aimed at U.S. Embassy. Now here's the surprise. May 30th, 1979. So May 30th, 1979, they got some of the facts wrong in this article, though. Soviet halts microwaves aimed at U.S. Embassy. There were articles being written on remote microwaves hitting people in 1979 in the New York Times. I thought that was a great find, and it just goes to show that people were talking about this stuff a lot more in the past because there weren't any. They were researching it, and they knew that it could be done, but there wasn't any, like, no intelligence agencies or anything were thinking about. Well, I think they were actually, because MK Ultra started in about 1953, and they were also using microwaves. But it was a little bit more open. There hadn't been a moratorium put on talking about microwaves, and now, now there was a period, and now it's starting to be talked about again, and we need to talk about it more because these microwaves, just your iPhones and your computers and your smart TVs and 5G and everything is very, very dangerous. Smart meters, this stuff is a soup around us. But then we've got people like me and other target individuals who are being hit directly with streams of energy, and our brains are and our nervous systems are being messed with. So it's a very, 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 very important topic. I don't know. I think a lot of target individuals get thousands of views. I've gotten thousands of views on some of my videos, but we should be getting millions of views. People should be worried about this. It's something. It's a real problem. This is a real problem, and I get it. The intelligence agencies and a bunch of investors and third party corporations, the military industrial complex who's really rich. They're trying to cover it up because they want to experiment. Who gives a fuck? This is important, and if you're a normal human being who gives a shit, and I know there are a lot in the agencies. I know y'all are there. I know good guys are there. We got to start talking about this. We got to do something about it. I think a lot of people are working at this moment as I speak, targeted individuals in white hats within society to stop this stuff. So we got to keep going and just let people know about this. Groundswell, a hurricane on social media. Um, I want to read some of it. They got some of the details wrong about the situation, but this was in 1979, so they probably couldn't get a lot of details. Soviet halts microwaves aimed at U.S. Embassy. Moscow, May 29th. The Soviet Union has stopped bombarding the American embassy with microwaves. An embassy spokesman said today. The move was seen as an attempt by Moscow to improve relations before the meeting in June of President Carter and Leonid I. Brezhnev, the Soviet leader. For the last 3.5 years, strong beams have been aimed at the embassy's upper floors from transmitters east and south of the 10-story structure. Neither the east nor the south signal has operated since the end of April, the embassy spokesman said. Hence, we have detected no radiation since that time from those sources. Other microwave sources in the area have been detected for years, but were not considered comparable to the searchlight-like beams aimed at the embassy building. Since the mid-1960s, Washington repeatedly protested to Moscow on radiation bombardment. The exact purpose of the activity never has been clear. American officials theorized that the microwaves could have been intended to jam American electronic intelligence equipment or to trigger electronic monitor devices concealed in the embassy. I gotta subscribe to see the full article. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it on that. I love you guys. I hope y'all are doing okay. These videos really help me. I feel less insane when I make them because when I'm isolated, my head's going crazy and I'm getting the chatterbox. Like I said, I've been playing this cool Spider-Man game that I've just been focusing on, and it's really cool. And trying to do things to keep my mind off of this, play music, go walk my dog like 3 times a day and just kind of walk out in the parking lot, trying to get some exercise, build up on some exercise. But this stuff is abominably hard. It's abominably hard. And I'd like to re-say what I said at the beginning. I don't beg my attackers to stop or anything like that because I know it wouldn't do any good. And it's a pride thing. But I'll forego my pride and beg anybody watching this who's not directly targeted, please help us. Please talk about this amongst your friends. Have you heard about these targeted individuals? Have you heard about the Cuban embassy attacks? Spread the news that this is happening. When the public gets to a certain point where the public knows about it, they have to stop these programs. Now, I don't know that there's never been something with so much money in it and stuff like that in different types of research, but that's how it's worked before. When the public becomes aware of it to a certain point, when there's enough whistleblowers, when there's enough people fighting it, then they pull back on it and they put out some scapegoat or something like that, and then we find out years later. I know that it's gonna, something's gonna happen where this is gonna end. This is gonna get better. Right now, I'm having a hard time seeing it. I'm feeling very negative. I mean, because some physical depression from what this stuff is doing to my brain, the remote neural manipulation, what they're making me feel like with certain frequencies. But in deep inside, I know that we're moving far forward, and a lot of people are getting, a lot of target individuals are gathering people together in their states, targeted justice, freedom for targeted individuals, Dr. Horton, Romuald D., um, Brian Tu speaking out, Dr. Carlstrom speaking out. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. A lot more to come when I'm feeling a little bit more energetic. I may just force myself to do videos like I was feeling like crap today and still made one. Um, it helps me feel better. Sorry about the weird pop up thing. Sorry about that, guys. But I need to put this out because I don't want to. I'm too tired to do it over. I guess I need to get some editing software in case something like that happens. But just block it out of your mind or whatever. And I'm sure my attackers can mess with the pop up ads that come from that specific like movie site, not a porno site, because I don't have porno sites on this computer. That's for my tablet. All right, guys. I love y'all. I hope this gave y'all some information you could use. Thank you, Patrick, or Inca Rhodes. Thank you for this information. I put some of it on my previous videos, but I didn't know about the Directed Energy Professional Society until Patrick told me about it. We need to be looking into them. Please go to that brochure to look more into it. It has tons of information, even though they're trying to make it. They're trying to make it like a positive spin on this stuff. It's very dangerous to the innocent people that it's murdering. All right, guys, I love y'all, and I will see y'all on the next one.